through while I'm waiting to get confirmation from all the folks out there whether or not we're feeding through. And let me see, I'm going to adjust my audio a little bit. So you guys let me know if you can, my audio should be coming through loud and clear. Let me know if there's any issues here. I want to remind everyone to go to hankstrange.com. That's right, sign up for our email list. That's how you can find out all the different ways to support us on the email list.
Got him going before he even says
yeah,
anything.
Absolutely, yes. Thanks to Franklin. These guys are ready to go. Thanks to Franklin Armory for sponsoring the podcast here. We've got a new guest tonight, Big Moe Cason, the barbecue
What's up?
king.
What's up?
He's here.
Family, what's up?
So, Mo, we do jazz hands like this when we get the show started. There you go, jazz hands are in effect. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on. This is gonna be a wild ride. This is episode 559 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. Like I said, my guest is Big Moe Cason. Barbecue and guns, that's what we're talking about. And we also have Will Beatty. And, yes, absolutely, America. We also have Will Beatty and Roy Hill of Barnauls. So Will Beatty's from Bear Creek Cattle Company.
What's up, man?
So we're in the house.
Cattle name.
Where's the beef?
The beef.
He's got some of the best beef in America.
Right.
And I say this from experience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So check this out. If I had these, by the way, folks out there, please smash the thumbs ups. Help us out here. Share the podcast and all that kind of stuff. This is going to be a fun one. All these guys are gun guys here. If I actually had these guys all in one place, I know my belly will be full. I'll probably be drunk and might be smoking something, even though I don't smoke things.
Oh, I know. I seen you smoke a cigar. Yeah, you did. I seen you at the retreat.
One time.
You'd be pulling triggers first. Then you'd be fed
guns
well,
also.
drunk well, and smoked well.
This would be a party.
We got it.
Yeah, this would be a party you'd never want to come home from. So it's going to be a fun show. Like I said, everyone smash the thumbs ups out there. We appreciate that. Let's see here. So the beef experts, we've got Will Beatty, Bear Creek Cattle Company. Mm-hmm. He's definitely a beef expert. Right. Another big beef expert here, Big Moe Cason. You're our main guest tonight, man. It's all about you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. What's up? You got the family, man.
Absolutely, man. And of course we've got Roy Hill.
Brownells, baby.
I think we all know each other through Brownells somehow, right?
Take my money.
Love me some Brownells.
We're very happy to do that, sir. Absolutely.
Yes. That Brownells connection, man, is it's real strong out there. It's real. Oh, there goes the flag. Let me see.
I'll tell you, as an unsolicited support vote, one of the first places I ever check if I'm looking for gun parts, brownells.com.
I gotta go back.
That's my first stop.
Very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna try real hard to keep earning your business. Thank you very much.
Good people. Good people over at Brownells. I think I've known Roy the longest in Brownells. I always tell people that I met Roy years ago at the Henry 1,000-man shoot, Rifle 1,000-man shoot. And Roy was really cool with me, and that's how I got my entrance to the Brownells clique family.
I remember that very well. I still have the rifle.
Yes,
in fact, I still have my number that you had to get to whatever, pin on your shirt or whatever.
Yeah, I've got all that stuff. I don't know if you guys heard of the 1,000-man shoot, Mo. We could have used you out there barbecuing some stuff, Mo.
I'd like
you
to do
too,
that.
Will.
Also, what are you talking about?
We got to talk to Henry Rifle, make that happen again.
So I'm just sitting here, with the awesome reputation that Big Moe has as the king of barbecue. I'm just imagining what a brisket, a Bear Creek Cattle Company brisket would be in the hands of that man. That's probably against the law somewhere.
If I took that brisket, I took one of your briskets and cooked it.
I'm getting a case of the vapors over here, y'all. Y'all are talking dirty right now.
You be like, no, Mo, come on, whatever you need, Mo, whatever you need. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, man.
Listen, first of all, let me apologize to everyone out there who's going to be really hungry. I hope you can get your hands on some barbecue while we're doing this.
Not sorry.
There's gonna be lots of barbecue going on. So let's start with Big Moe, since you're the special guest here tonight. All these guys are awesome, but you're the first time here on the show. Do you want to tell the folks about yourself a little bit, Mo? How you got into the whole barbecue world, your background, etc.?
Sure. For me, I come from Des Moines, Iowa. That's where I'm born and raised, corn-fed, east side Des Moines, Iowa. And my grandmother and grandfather, they had 17 children.
Wow.
And my grandfather from southern Missouri, so they kind of moved up to Iowa, planted roots. And so we are a tight-knit squad. My grandmother's passed, and I have a couple uncles and a couple aunts passed, but we're a tight squad. And we always barbecued or grilled out, especially like on Sundays after church, holidays. We were always at somebody's house getting down. And so that's how I got introduced into like grilling and barbecue, just standing there, 9 years old, watching uncles and stuff, cooking up on a 55-gallon drum cut in half on expanded metal with some Kingsford charcoal and cooking pork steaks up or cooking some ribs up, some chicken up. So that's how I got, I just love the smell of cooking. I love the smell of barbecuing. And I love managing a fire. That was something that when I became like a 10, 11, 12, my mom had a 55-gallon drum in the backyard, and I would go out and I would cook, and I just love it. And then grew up, went in the Navy, came out of the Navy in '93, and one of the first things I bought was a little smoker. Went to Walmart, got me a little Brinkman, and got back at it. And this is before like all the barbecue shows that were actually on. I mean, there were some shows like on Food Network, but basically they were like the real barbecue shows. And I was just hooked, man. I mean, I started seeing these shows with Tuffy and Johnny Trigg and all those guys, and I said to myself, man, I can do this, man. I love to go to a barbecue cook-off just to see what it's all about. And 2006, Des Moines, Iowa, it's called the Pork Expo. It's a huge global event that happens every year, pork industry. But then they used to have a contest that was tied into it called, it was separate, but it was during the same time on the same grounds at the fairgrounds, called Pork Barbacolossus. It's no longer, it went away after the swine flu back in the day. And so, but it was just, I remember pulling in with my rig, and up to that point, I'd never been to like a real cook-off. It was just in my backyard cooking against my neighbors, and not really against my neighbors, but just cooking and sharing barbecue with my neighbors and stuff like that. And they cook. But when I went to that cook-off and I seen all these different rigs and all the smoke in the air and the smells and stuff, I knew this is where I needed to be. And this was 2006. And for me, it was just, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I'm a one-man team, and I started doing my cook-offs. I did 20 that year by myself, one-man team.
Wow.
And I've done
a lot of work too.
Yeah, 380 cook-offs since then, And I've been blessed to be able to go internationally multiple times, all over the world. I'm doing stuff with the military, where I'm going over to Armed Forces Entertainment. I just came back before this COVID stuff. I was over in Diego Garcia, Singapore, cooking for the Navy. And I'm actually going back in June 28th, as long as this COVID thing can get squashed down. I'm going back over there, Singapore, South Korea, Alaska, all military bases and cooking. They're shipping my smoker over to Japan in August, in October, to go cook for the big Navy base there in Yokosuka. So it's amazing how I served my country, love the Navy, love the military, to come full circle and to be able to do, I got out of the Navy, I worked at the water treatment plant in Des Moines here for 24 years along doing my barbecue. And in 2017, I got approached by Academy Sports. And if anybody knows about Academy Sports, they're a huge sporting goods chain down south, and they're all over the South. And they reached out to me and said, hey, man, we'd like to get your products in the stores. And after that, when I looked at those numbers, I was like, okay, cool. So I was able to walk away from the water plant that I did 24 years at and just be able to do me. And it's been a blessing. That's all I can say. I wake up and I just promote my products, my rubs, and I'm able to take care of my family. And it's just a blessing. But I love barbecue. I love the family of barbecue. I always had, growing up, we'd go shotgun, deer and pheasants and like that, and all my uncles were hunters, and the majority of them. And to be able to hook up with Barnauls, do a couple things for them. And it's amazing how tight-knit just like tight knit the barbecue world is, the gun world is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same way.
Yep.
When they find out you're legit and you're for real, you know, you got a friend, man. You really do. And I'm just a hobby, you know, guy who likes guns. I love it. I love getting out. I love getting into like long range, even though I say I'm just a beginner. A good friend of mine, Adam LaRoche, he does a lot of stuff with the military. He's a retired Major League Baseball player from Fort Scott, Kansas, and I go down there. We do stuff for the military, bring special forces guys in, and just to hang out for the weekend. And I learned so much about shooting with those guys. Yeah. He's got sniper guys coming in, instructors, and just like this last time, you know, I had my first time I went down there. I had my 6.5 Creedmoor. I cooked barbecue for all the squad. They had SEAL Team 6 come. Well, I shouldn't be saying that right now. They had SEAL Team come in and fly, actually drop in, do some training there.
Were you shooting this stuff?
That's right. Yeah, Fort Scott munitions guys. You know.
Yeah.
I went to college in Fort Scott. So
you did?
Actually, yeah. I went to the JUCO there before I went to the Navy.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it's just like I got to get into with these great guys, you know, and being that I'm prior service military, it's just man, it was awesome. So I was just down there late fall, and we cooked some barbecue, and we had like a bunch of Army special forces guy come in, and that instructor took me out. And Adam Roach has got a big mile. He's got a big platform on one of his properties. It's got, you know, 300, 500, 700, 800. 1,000-yard mile range.
Basically everyone's dream.
2 days. Taught me so much about my 338. Mm-hmm. And it is such a feeling when you take, for the first time ever taking a gun. I had a Ruger, one of those new Rugers that back a couple of years ago, that Ruger that first came out, the 6.5 Creedmoor. I bought that out the box gun. And I remember taking me out there, and these guys, I probably fifth shot in, hit the target 1,000 yards. Mm-hmm. And it was just amazing. Yeah. And I just was down there with my 338. I got a custom built 338 and took it down there, man. And it's just, to me, it's just awesome to be able to take a round like that and be able to shoot long range and have someone spotting for you and telling you the adjustment, knowing what they're doing, telling you the adjustments to make, and then you making the adjustments and then hitting that target. Yep. To me, it gives me goosebumps, and I can't wait to go back down there and shoot long range, man. And now I've got a nice little collection of guns, and because I just like them. I just love them. I love the quality. I love the diversity of them. I love the history of them, and so I'm a big fan. So awesome. Barbecue, guns, cigars, bourbon.
Yeah. Living the life, man. There's some good circles in there. Barbecues, right, guns, cigars too. You're all in it, you know. And it's funny how the whole world here connects. Like you grew up in Iowa, you connect to the Barnauls guys. You've done stuff in Kansas. The Fort Scott guys sponsor my YouTube channel for ammo. Those guys are they're pretty generous. Yeah, they're pretty generous. They really do take care of us over here. This is so cool, man. I could tell like the passion. What do you guys think about this? Who wants to jump in there? Because I know Mo was worried that we wouldn't be able to have anything to talk about.
Yeah. Right, well, I absolutely, my favorite type of shooting in the world is to be laying on my belly with a target at least 500 yards away, but the farther away the better. Mm-hmm. And the two things, number one, just yesterday, I put on Instagram a video of my 12-year-old hitting a 500-yard target with a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah.
And the way I try to explain it to folks who do not shoot long range is this: in this life, this is the closest we get to be to Harry Potter. Okay, we do something here, and then way the heck down there, something really cool happens, and you cause that thing to happen.
Yeah.
800, 900,000 yards away, and there's just no other feeling in the world like it. I mean, you go,
it's therapy. It's therapy.
It really is.
Yeah,
it's magic. It's a magic wand.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm
just listening to videos, man, and learning. I can't remember the guy's name again, but he's an ex-military sniper, and he has great videos, and I've been watching him now lately and learning so much about bullet trajectory, drop, just a wealth of knowledge. And I'm just like a sponge. I'm like a little kid sitting there with my Cheerios on Saturday morning, listening to this and just watching video after video after video after video. Yeah. And it's a sponge. And that's what I when we get this COVID thing, like right now our gun ranges are we ain't really got no long range here in Iowa. Like, all the like the 100-yarders, they're all closed right now because of this COVID. But I'm going to be heading down to Texas tomorrow. Actually, Thursday I'll be heading out of Texas because I'm sold my barbecue pit and I'm picking up and ordering a big 1,000-gallon tank pit. And but there's a range down in Texas that I go in Keeling, Texas. A friend of mine owns, and I'm gonna go down there and take my 338 because I bought a 338 Cavari. I've got a custom built bow action. I've always wanted one of these Cavaris, and I bought a Cavari here a few months back, and I'm gonna take that down and take that. I'm a big fan of 338s, man. Them things ain't no joke.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Will, I know you wanted to jump in here.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, really precision rifles. I first got my, I guess, introduction this past year by Dustin Coleman. I don't know if you guys know him with Coltac. He does suppressor covers, but anyway, I was just a monkey on a gun, and he put me on his 6mm Creedmoor and guided me in, and I darn near hit a golf ball at 1,000 yards, and
damn.
Yeah, well, it wasn't me. It was good guidance. But the
magic,
like and the capabilities, of what these guns can do and be able to reach out there. But I wanted to touch on Mo, your background and kind of what got you into barbecuing and smoking. So, I was thinking while you were, giving your background and your history. And a lot of the reasons that I ended up in the beef business are very similar. One was the social aspect, though. You talk about all these big family get-togethers and everybody's barbecuing and grilling out, and you like to manage the fire, and I think it all really starts with that childhood introduction and like those positive vibes about being around people and enjoying food. It's not just a necessity. It's like the whole social aspect with the family, and you're out there, and
it's what
everybody.
It's what life's about, right? That's the meaning.
Everybody's
of
having a good time, and
global, but it is Americana, and you're absolutely correct. Sitting on a bonfire. And you're cooking some barbecue, and it's done when it's done. You don't force it. You don't rush it. Everybody's got you got your uncles got the old Schlitz or the Pabst Blue Ribbon, and they're sitting there and they're talking. And you
I wasn't going to say that, but
it's true.
Done.
Somebody always asks me how long it's going to take, and I'm like, well, how many beers is that going to equate to? That's the reality, man.
Oh, heck
yeah. I think
part of
that's
the fun.
Yeah, I think that's what life's about, right? I don't know if it happened to you too, Roy, but when Mo said tending the fire, right? That's a very primal thing right there, right?
Right, primal thing. Harkens back to our ancestry. But there's just something about, because I grew up in Western Arkansas, and all the time my extended family, and I had like 14 aunts and uncles. Mm-hmm. So Mo, I come from a big family too, 4 younger brothers. Mm-hmm. We would have family gathering. There'd be like 50 people there, right? Mm-hmm. And it was all about visiting with your relatives and seeing people you hadn't seen in a while. But food was always the central element. And there's just something about good food with people that you like and enjoy. I mean, for example, I learned this because I got a Cajun sister-in-law, but I learned how to do crawfish boils. So before I moved to Iowa, I was kind of like the crawfish boil man of Western Arkansas. I mean, my wife and I, we have as far as we know, we have transported the only crawfish boil in the history of Union, Michigan, to Union, Michigan. We trucked 50 pounds of crawfish up there to some good friends of ours. But absolutely, the good food with people you truly, thoroughly enjoy, there's nothing else in the world like that.
Mm-hmm. You got that right. Got that right. It's all about that, and that food ties everything together. Mm-hmm. No matter what people got going on in their lives, when you get family and friends together, that food is the final point that ties it all together.
And nobody's in a bad mood when they have a mouthful of perfectly smoked brisket. It's just, no, nobody's in a bad mood.
Yeah. We're gonna get into this here because we've got Mo and we've got Will. We're gonna get into this. We've got Roy here. I think, like I said, for about an hour. Roy, do you want to?
At least an hour. If I can stay longer, I'll stay.
You are welcome to stay, sir. You're welcome to
get
stay.
cranked up about barbecue. Heck yeah.
Yes. So before we get too deep into anything here, Roy, do you want to bring us up to speed a little bit with what's going on with Barnauls on the retail side of what's going on in the industry? I know the news dropped a few days ago that we've got record gun sales for this year. I think over 7 million firearms sold this year.
I saw a news story today that the NICS checks for April where they dipped down a little bit from March. March was just absolutely insane. April dipped down, but April 2020 is still in the top 4 months ever for NICS checks. So gun sales are kind of slowing down a little bit from where they've been. They're still high, but they're coming down a little bit. The thing we continue to see at Barnauls is ammo comes in, goes on the shelf, and then goes away.
Okay.
Yeah. Ammo comes in, it gets officially received, logged in, goes on our warehouse shelves, and then it disappears.
Okay.
The last time I think you asked me, I think researched on my phone, and we had like only 3 SKUs of 9mm left. Well, I'm proud to say that right before the show started, we had 7 SKUs of 9mm left. We usually have about 125 different versions of 9mm,
right.
But just before the show started, we had 7 types of 9mm in stock, and we usually carry about 125. So that's up from 3. It's like 100% increase or more.
Okay.
But
so I
do know we had some 124 grain stuff in stock.
Okay, so is there any? I think the last time you said it was 9mm and 5.56.
5.56, yeah.
Right.
Same thing.
Is there any kind of slowdown going on, or we're still at the same rate according to? I know we can't give out like specific numbers and things like that.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a slowdown. It's starting to come back down a little bit. Because I forget how many 5.56s we had in stock. I checked on if we had 5.56 in stock before the show started. We did. They were mostly like match grade level stuff. And we had some Wolf, some of the steel case stuff too. But ammo still selling pretty heavily. Not as quite as high as it was. Still high, but coming down a little bit.
Okay, and then what about gun sales? And I'm assuming that it's mostly handguns and not rifles so much, but fill me in on that. Am I right or wrong there?
Lots of handguns. Lots of stories in the news about first-time gun buyers. And most of those folks, when they buy a gun, they're buying a gun for home defense. And the number one type of gun they're buying is a handgun. So lots and lots and lots of handgun sales. One of the companies in the Barnauls family of companies is Crowe Shooting Supplies, and I can't give out specific numbers, but they have sold back in March especially a ton of guns. Crowe Shooting Supply is a wholesale company selling mostly to gun stores or big box stores like Shields and stuff like that.
So like a distributor.
A distributor,
okay.
Right, a wholesaler. Crowe Shooting Supply is a wholesaler selling to other businesses. I can't give out specific numbers, but I know they sold a ton of guns out to other retailers. So, yeah, Barnauls is selling some guns, but big movements of guns on the wholesale side.
Okay, cool. And go ahead, Will.
It's got to be a lot of rifles and parts, too. And I know this because I'm a consumer, and so
am I.
Obviously,
everyone here. Yeah.
Obviously, I had a few rifles on hand before all this started, but I've always got I'm like every other gun nut, and I've always got a project, and I'm out there looking for parts. You can't find parts. You can't find lower parts kits. You can't find uppers. Especially when you're looking for tier 1 products. So there's a lot of sales. I just see from a consumer across the board.
Okay.
Long guns too.
Yeah.
Right. For example,
and God bless America.
I'm trying to build a couple of polymer 80s into handguns.
Okay.
And we don't have any lower parts kits, man. We don't have any frame kits. And I need those parts to build my 2 polymer 80 pistols. So, yeah, I feel your pain.
That's interesting. That's interesting to note that the parts side of that is still going up. So let me do this. I'll kind of like go around here. We could start with Will and then go to Roy and then go to Mo. That way we'll give everyone a chance to think about this. Will, what's on your list? What's on your shopping list of guns that you're looking for right now?
Okay, so I do have a little niche. After 11 months of wait, I picked up this week my M16A1 transferable. It's a Department of Energy gun, and what I was wanting to do was modernize the lower, save all the original parts, but I want to make somewhat of an MP7 clone, and I want to modernize. I was going to use all BCM parts. I don't know if I can say all the specifics, but that's the stuff that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Barnauls and tried to get it, and it was out of stock. So but anyway, I want to modernize it, and then probably hit up again and get a 5.7 conversion, a CMMG conversion with the full mag, and then probably, so when that's a great thing about buying a transferable, is and especially like on a platform like an M16, is the flexibility. So I also want to get a Fight Light belt fed upper and let that thing rip.
That's fun.
So anyway, I'm saving my pennies. That's the short of it. I'm already broke from buying the gun, but it took 11 months. So I've recovered a little bit of funds since then, and just kind of trying to build it out.
You will have to buy the Barnauls barrel of ammo when you get that. Machine gun.
Well, hey, all jokes aside, Barnauls is a supply for already linked 62 grain ammo to feed that Fight Light, so I don't have to hand link.
Oh,
you got it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I know this. I look at the inventory.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
Yes, I'm gonna be ready to rock and roll.
Oh, that sounds good, man. Let me know when you get that so I can come visit you.
Please.
Roy, let's go to you. What's on your list? You work at Barnauls.
Right. So
that doesn't mean you could just walk around picking up stuff.
Oh my gosh, I wish. Oh Lord, it might as well be that bad. First, I want to say I'm very jealous because here in Iowa, the government of Iowa have not deemed it possible for mere peasants like me to own a Class 3. I mean, we just got short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and suppressors. Can't do machine guns just yet as a private individual. Oh please, baby. Oh please. Oh please. Someday.
What is the holdup on that?
Nothing like a smile maker.
Yeah.
Set my people free. Yes.
What's the holdup in Iowa on that?
Iowa right now. It's just it hasn't been. Iowa's
Iowa.
one of those last few remaining states where machine guns cannot be possessed by mere peasant civilians like me. So I'm incredibly jealous. Yeah. Congratulations on the M16A1. As far as me, I'm the weirdo. You know this, Hank. You know this. On my priority list is I've got some weird calibers.
It's going to be big bore. I could tell. It's going to be an elephant gun.
Well, I do need some 9.3x6.2 Mauser ammo. Okay. I need some 458 SOCOM ammo. But as far as guns, I really, really want like a short lever Martini Henry in 450.577, or I want a Flintlock Bass.
What was the last one? What was the last one?
A Flintlock Brown Bass musket as carried by the British Army in the American Revolution. I already got the Flintlock rifle, but I need a Brown Bass musket.
Very cool. Very cool.
Caliber Jaeger. Yeah.
Yeah. If you need someone to set up in Iowa to to like protest and help get machine guns on the thing, let me know. As long as you find someone to make food.
Okay, I think we got somebody over here in this screen down here.
Yeah, we can get people over there. So Mo, what's on your list, man? I know you have a nice gun collection because I follow you on IG. So
I got friends of mine who got like just chests and chests full of guns. I don't have any 22s. All my stuff is like big caliber stuff. Like
oh wow.
I'm a big fan of 338s. I've got a bolt action custom built carbon fiber proof barrel. Only weighs 9 pounds. It's got a it's just an awesome unit. And then I've got I just bought a Cavari 338 semi. So I'm good on my 338s. For me, I want a high end like a Trijicon Reap IR, something thermal. I always watch hog killing videos, man, shooting video. I just love going down that Texas shoot. So to me, on my Christmas list is a Trijicon Reap IR. Somebody wants to give Big Mo one, I'll be happy. But that's what I want, Trijicon. But that's what I want, man. I mean, I've got and that ammo. You know what I mean? I've got I've got a pretty good selection of 338 ammo, but you can never have enough, obviously. And so I got ammo cans for ammo. I'm good friends with IWI. They have blessed me with some good stuff. So I've got. I just took it out last week in indoor gun range, but that new Tavor TS12 12 gauge, that thing's a monster.
Yeah, man. I'm a fan. I know you like bullpups, right? Because I think you do like bullpups. Yeah, I've
got a 7 that behind me. That's a 308, and then I've got the TS12 12 gauge. Monster. Took it out. It was awesome. And then I got a Masada 9mm, got a Desert Eagle 50 cal, got a Glock, got an early pair of ordnance, pair of ordnance 45 high capacity back when they were good before they sold out to Remington. And not to knock Remington, but they.
No, that's fine.
But
I don't think anyone's gonna complain.
Pair is extinct now.
Yeah. So, but I got an early version of that, and I love it. And that's my carries along with my 9mm when I want to use my Masada. But then I've got I've got short Black Rain Ordnance pistol 5.56 that's a bad to the bone. Oh, that thing is bad to the bone. I love that. So I got that. I got a beautiful CMG. That's my hog gun. I got a CMG 308, just a beast. And then I've got some Beretta 12 gauges and old school 10 gauge from Browning, which I love. I never get rid of, even though it's old school. That thing is straight. Tank. If you want to clear some stuff, take that 10 gauge Browning, because that mad boy, man, that thing is no joke.
Yeah, what was that, Roy?
Is that an SP10, or which one is the Browning model?
Basic all black Browning. I can't remember the name, but a Browning 10 gauge.
Okay. How come you don't have 22, Big Mo?
I got some 22 ammo. I just ain't got no 22s.
Because he's big. Big calibers. Big Mo.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to have something that thumps, man.
Yeah. 22 just doesn't sound right with him.
22 is great. If a zombie apocalypse, that's probably one of the best calibers to have, because, you can pack a gazillion, cartridges and the rounds, and then you can go out there and, as long as you're doing headshots, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But for me, the lowest caliber I got is 5.56. Everything else is all 308s. 338s,
Yeah, this is a good. This is a good point.
But I'm happy. Everything I got I'm happy. I got a gun case here, and I got a gun safe here, and I got a gun safe right there, and I got everything that I want. I really do, man. I'm really, and I'm real specific on what I want, and it just satisfies me. Everything, you know what I mean? The rest of the stuff is just kind of gratuitous, but I got everything that I want. All I need is more ammo. That's it. So I'm gonna come see Barnauls for that.
Yeah.
And I've got the. It reminded me when you said, what's your project? Thermal is on my list too, Mo. And I tell you, I have to give a shout out. There's some guys on YouTube, Hans, East Texas, probably around your area, and also Jason from Outdoor Legacy Gear. They do the Late Night Vision podcast, and they're reviewing all this thermal. And I've been, I love the Trigicon stuff. I mean, it is definitely nothing gets any better. The resolution. But for me, I'm just kind of like, if it doesn't come with a stamp, like a transferable something or another, where I feel like I'm spending a lot of money for a big screen TV that, like, in 6 months or a year, it's worth half what I gave for it, but I still want the function. So I've been looking like at the Pulsar lines, a lot of value, just trying to figure out what I want. But the hard thing about thermal, and I know that there's other guys out there that feel this way, is, you're spending 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever line you're looking at, 1,000. And it's like buying the car without ever test driving it. Like you can't even look through it before you get it, and once you get it, you're stuck with it. So that's the hard.
What I can do. I'm trying to trying to get a deal with Barnauls where I go and I cut the grass for once a week for the next 5 years. They give me one of them. I know they got it up on the shelf. I don't know why they messing around.
Don't float that idea if you're not.
Hold up, man.
We can put you on Goose Patrol.
I'll get it done. They got to be paying need somebody to cut that grass, I'll cut it.
Yeah,
Hook me up, man.
you're floating an idea that they might actually go for, man.
You're telling me I want one of them $9,000 IRs, man. I want one of the thermals, man, and they got it. They got it sitting on the shelf.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
I heard that somebody likes the giggle switch, is what I just heard. Somebody likes the third position on the safety selection.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't like full auto?
Oh, baby. Oh, yeah.
Full auto's the way to go. I always tell people the most fun thing to me, right? I think 22 is awesome, by the way. Full auto, full auto 22 suppressed.
Oh, baby.
They're bad. I shot one.
Yeah.
The Fort Scott guys got one, and they brought it down when I was over at Adam Roach's house, and that thing is awesome. Fully auto 22.
Yeah. As long as you don't have jams, as long as
right.
Eventually it's gonna get dirty because it's 22. So after that, I'm gonna say 9mm or 45 full auto suppressed.
I love full auto. My favorite full auto is an M240 Bravo. I've shot one of those suppressed, and it's a Cadillac. It's unbelievable. Really? Everybody should have one of those. But 22s, that's what I grew up shooting. Mm-hmm. And a good bolt action accurate 22 is a thing of simple and pure joy.
Yes. Yeah. And you can also
I count how many times I've been in the backyard or on the back 40. I used to live on 30 acres in Arkansas before I moved to Iowa, and just go out with a 500 round brick of 22 and just every single round over the course of an afternoon and the evening, and it's just the most beautiful, amazing, fun, relaxing, awesome thing to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And 22s can get expensive too, man.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, recently I think Barnauls sent me a Volquartsen trigger. Actually, Babyface did a video with that recently. I don't know if you saw that or not, Roy. I gotta tag you on it.
Oh yeah, send me the video.
Yeah, you could really get expensive. You can get into 22 cheaply or affordably, but then you can drop a lot of money trying to build that up in there. You know what I mean? So there's lots of different ways to go there. Have you guys noticed a run on the 22 before we move away from that? Are people buying a lot of the 22, or 22 ammo still good in stores?
There was a whole lot of 22 buy-in going on, and I've read some articles. I haven't checked the website to see if 22 was in stock, because quite frankly, I'm sitting on several thousand rounds of 22 myself, so I haven't really paid attention. I learned from the Great Panic of 2013 is whenever
buy it.
Yeah, but I want to ask a question.
Everything.
Because all of us went through, or at least to my knowledge, we were all Great Gun 2013, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So none of us are new, and we remember that. And I might be sitting on a few rounds going into the COVID thing.
Is that 5 or six figures?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, that's asking personal details. But so here's my question.
Sure.
I already know what I have, and you know what you have.
Yep.
Were you like me? Did you still buy some ammo during this?
Oh, yeah.
I still did. And I'm like, I don't even need it.
No.
But I didn't overpay. I didn't overpay.
Yeah.
So I just watched for deals, and I knew kind of what the market was running anyway. And if I saw a deal, I was like, I can't, dear Lord, I'm weak. I'm about to make this gun purchase.
You're not weak.
It's not a sin. That's not a sin.
You are prudent and forward thinking because you got burned in the 2013 panic on 22 ammo.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you an example, a real example. As soon as I am able to, when this COVID stuff slows down, I will never have fewer than about 250 rolls of toilet paper in my basement.
Warehouse. Hey, that's like rappers.
It doesn't spoil.
They're like, I got all the TP.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh God.
Once I'm able to,
did not understand.
there will always be a stockpile of at least 250 rolls of toilet paper in my basement from here on out.
I did not understand when this crap busted out. What is the deal with the toilet paper?
Because
COVID does not give you the Hershey squirts.
No, I could tell you what it is. If you ever look at the lists of of the most valuable things in an apocalypse, toilet paper is always high up there. So it's just because
inconvenience. People, it's a perceived
inconvenience. If Big Mo needs to go out in the backyard and grab some leaves, I can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but people
want to.
Huh?
So it's
I
just
will
like,
have to.
It's just like having a backup whole house generator for your house,
Right.
and a propane
Right.
tank. It's awesome. But in a true, grid down situation, like your propane's only going to last so long.
Right.
And the same thing with the toilet paper. And I think it was like an escalated problem. So it started out, maybe there was a few people buying, and then everybody's like, oh crap, there's not a lot left on the shelf. I better get some. So they get it. And then every time it comes back in stock, and then it creates this feeding frenzy. And it's like,
feeding frenzy.
Is
right.
it so?
Yeah.
I think I came in before we started this. You guys, I could hear you guys from when I went to the bathroom. By the way, no, I'm just kidding. But you guys were talking about the beef situation.
We could hear you too.
Yeah, well, I don't call it draining the dragon for nothing. But anyway, so when
oh, definitely TMI.
do you guys think the same thing's happening when it comes to beef? Do you think we're going to run into a situation like that?
100%. I think
we're going to have meat shortage. Here's the thing about it is when you're seeing diesel at $2 a gallon, $1.98 a gallon, the oil refineries, I take it that's a good precursor of what's coming in the cattle and the pork. I know it's totally two different opposites, but there's a glutton. They have nowhere to put fuel. They have nowhere. Storage tanks are full. That's why they have. I mean, they're paying people to take fuel. Suppliers are paying. Distributors are paying. Just to take the fuel because they have nowhere to go. The same thing's going to happen. I've already noticed that. I bought some pork over the weekend. I'm in Iowa, baby. We in pork country. Pork country. And I cooked Iowa chops this weekend, dude. And I paid. I can't remember. It was pretty expensive. Why? Okay, there's going to be a shortage of pork. It's going to be.
Is there a production shortage of pork? Is there, or is it? What's the reason?
I don't know, man. Yes. But I know I paid more money than I ever paid for a pork chop.
Really?
So it's not on the farm. That's not where the production shortage is. It's in the plants and getting the beef processed, and there's a supply chain issue. So Smithfield is the largest supplier of pork in the U.S. And FYI, as an aside, it's a Chinese-owned company.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you didn't know that.
Okay, no.
Yeah, I was with Smithfield. I was with Smithfield, and then I left a couple years ago. Yep.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Sure enough.
Well, you could tell more than I do. So I see it from a small producer standpoint and from a consumer. We've got a number of large plants that are shut down. They had, COVID issues and they shut down. Well, it doesn't take many of those large plants. I mean, they're literally harvesting and processing thousands. I'm talking double-digit thousands a day. So when you stop that somewhere, and there's cold storage in America. So there's big freezers, and they have thousands of tons of cold product because I watch the market reports every week as a farmer, and I try and keep up with live cattle prices, live hog prices, and also all these futures, which is like the stock market. And the cold storage report is always an important one because that shows the backlog of product that's out there, which will affect the supply and demand. So I know that exists, but at some point when you're not producing those thousands and thousands of animals a day, to the end consumer, there's going to be a hiccup. There's going to be a bump.
That's right.
And people, y'all think toilet paper was an issue? People will freak out. My phone has been ringing off the hook. I'm very appreciative of the business, and it's difficult. Even so, our small local plant is still running, and they do a great job for us here, but they can only do so much. They're at max capacity. And, I've got the TV network. Would like to get product back on air so that we can sell it nationwide and try and, but I'm having trouble even locally getting enough animals to supply the demand. I've got the animals, but getting them processed, so it's a microcosm of what's happening. Nationwide.
So since this all hit, you haven't been doing the shows because of the processing, getting the supply out there.
Well, once we sold out completely of product, I have been back on the network, and I actually did some cooking last time. We want to keep my face, however awful it looks, we want to keep it in front of the customer,
Right.
and do some stuff on air, and I've been promoting some products for them, and but not able to get to do it for TV. It's a little different and it's a little more complicated. So we have to take animals to the local processing plant, have them harvested and broken down, and then we have to transport that product to another facility that has some different machinery, and they can repackage it and then ship it back to Atlanta. It all stays here in Georgia, and it's housed in a great frozen warehouse in Atlanta. And then once those orders, so I go on air and we start receiving hundreds of orders from all over the U.S., and electronically it comes in and we have to ship that out. But it's not just as simple as I take the cows to the processor and then it's ready in a couple of weeks and we go on air. I guess that's what causes the supply chain issues when you get to these bigger and bigger companies. The only way I'm getting product to people right now literally is a driving distance. In a very small quantity. My phone's ringing off the hook, and it's not, hey, do you guys have some steak available for sale or a couple of pounds? It's like, hey man, do you have half a cow? We'll send you a deposit now. And I am. I'm thankful. And, I never want to be perceived as capitalizing on people's hardships. That's not what I was ever in the business for. I'm just trying to provide a solution, because people, they obviously, food is a necessity. It's one of the prime necessities: air, water, nutrients. Those are the top three. You can forget toilet paper is ever up in that list.
Yeah, you can't eat that. You can't eat that toilet paper either.
So, but we're only able to produce what we can produce. And, we're sending the truck literally into town. Like, we're our own little, kind of food truck deal. We are licensed to be able to sell direct to consumer, and we're getting it out as quickly as we can produce it. But there already is a food shortage.
Okay, so you guys are saying that people are gonna, if they go into the stores, they're gonna notice this already, or is it just in certain areas that this is noticeable?
Already seeing it locally shopping for groceries. The meat counters in the local grocery stores are a little bit thin. I wonder how much of that is because of, obviously there's a supply chain issue when a huge giant like Smithfield shuts down a processing plant that does, as we'll say, double-digit thousands of animals a day. I mean, that just goes away as long as they're shut down. And then it's the self-feeding frenzy of everybody reads the news story. Oh my gosh, there's going to be a meat. Okay, I may or may not have brought home 4 or 5 bags of chicken from the grocery store the other day because
everybody does.
There's going to be a shortage. Oh my gosh, people are going to snap it up. I better get it now. I just also want to throw in with the supply chain issue. I am not involved in the food industry in any way, but I did read an article that said that something like 60% of the American food production goes to restaurants. For the last month and a half, most of the restaurants have been closed down. So there's just literally nowhere to send 60% of the food being produced. So that's why farmers are dumping crops on the ground, euthanizing.
That's what we saw. I know Lola and I were looking at something about milk, right? The same thing going on with milk.
They were just dumping it on the floor.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere to send it.
Wow. Well, I wanted to.
The cows keep producing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad we got into that subject because, I'm even though I am a cowboy for a living, I'm a beef producer. I've been in the business 10 years. I've seen a lot, but I'm certainly not the expert of all experts. But I just don't get the whole, euthanizing animals. They're live animals. We do harvest, and for those that are just tuning in or might catch this out of context, we're, obviously, to produce beef or pork, it comes from a live animal. You do have to euthanize the animal to harvest it for food production. But that, that's going to nutritional value of people. What we're talking about here is the media more. I haven't seen the realities of how this is actually happening, but and it could be what I call the media terrorist attack. I think they like to incite fear and create news.
I believe that, man. I really do. Yes.
But I just don't get the fact that we're euthanizing animals for no benefit at the end simply because all of a sudden they're portrayed as we're overrunning supply. I get it, milk spoils. Okay, but that's not the animal itself. It's a byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Potatoes or lettuce or, the list could go on and on. But a living, breathing animal, hey, this is going to pass. And that animal's still going to be alive in a month. So I totally don't get the fact unless it becomes economics. So animals do reach a finish for if you haven't been involved in food production. And what I mean by that is at a certain age and maturity, and if you are finishing them on a grain supplement in our case, or full feed in the commercial market, so they reach a point that they're not going to gain any more weight, they're not going to get any fatter, and they will get a little more fat, but it's all lost in the end because it's exterior fat.
Exactly.
And and economically, if you continue to feed that animal more and more, we say the money's just passing through the animal. And that could be the reason that they're doing it for economic reasons. But if it is, it's a horrible reason,
right?
Because I do harvest a lot of animals every year for people, but I have a love and respect for the animal. And I literally am thankful that, hey, this animal gave its life because it's going to feed a nutritional meal to this family that needs it. And to me, that's what it's all about.
That's exactly right.
I have relatives in Arkansas who raised chickens specifically for a certain huge global multinational poultry processor that everybody knows the name of. Right. And I'm just thinking about the way they operated, because they would get literally in each chicken house tens of thousands of chickens, literally tens of thousands of chickens per house. And they would reach a certain age, and then the guys who were paid by the company to come in and catch the chickens and load them on trucks and take them to the processing plant. Because the chickens were basically contracted specifically to Tyson, and if Tyson lost 60% of their customers, and they didn't have anywhere to put, they lost more than half of their customers for the chickens because the restaurants aren't serving. They just tell them, it never happened, but if they were still in the chicken business, I can absolutely see Tyson saying, hey, we got nowhere to put these chickens you raised for us, euthanize them. Sorry, we got nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
And they couldn't hang on to those
So
chickens.
there's a couple of weird things going on here. Obviously, schools aren't open, and restaurants aren't fully open. I know they're doing drive-up or curbside
depends
service.
On the state. Yeah, depends on the state.
The funny thing is also in states, I haven't seen it in Florida, but maybe in some parts of Florida this might be happening. But there's states where there's lots of people on the food pantry lines.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand. I don't see how we're going to waste stuff when we also have people standing on lines. And then on top of all of that, on the outside of all of this, this is really a situation that we created for ourselves. So obviously, to me, there's something happening. People are getting sick. But the numbers that they try to scare us with, to go back to what you guys were talking about, the media getting everyone hyped up and scared so that we just keep our eyeballs, like glued onto them. That stuff they hyped us up with, and even hyped up the government and got everyone like, oh, we got to do something, shut everything down. We created that. This is a problem that we're going to pay for, and lots of companies are going to be laying off people here.
Yeah,
it's going to get worse, and we created it.
Here's a thought that I had this afternoon on that exact scenario, and I know I'm one individual, but I do not personally know one single person that has had COVID-19. Not one person. Yet everybody I know has been affected by COVID-19.
That's true. I can say the thing. I have not. I even though, I've got a family of 6, and I have 2 daughters that have medical conditions, and so I know how serious that it could be. I didn't take it seriously in the beginning, to be honest, until I start reading up on it. And I'm just, even though I've been out multiple times without a mask on, there's times I do have a mask on. But when you see, I thought in the beginning it was just people that were like old, nursing homes, Then I start seeing these people that are young and getting it. And To be honest, I thought I had it last winter because
I've heard that so many times.
Pretty healthy guy, and I don't never really get sick at all. I'll
Yeah.
get a little touch of flu for like 2 or 3, 4 days, and then it's gone. And I remember last fall, and I don't know if it is or not, but I think this thing has been here before. I don't know, because last fall, like going on November, December, I had this cold that went straight to my lungs. It was weird. It went like straight to my lungs. And I never have no lung problems. I never have any, I have a pretty good immune system, been thankful, and I get the chills. I had a fever. It took me about 7 days to shake it, which is really weird and unusual for me. And I shook it. But these symptoms that they were saying, it could have just been the flu. But, man, I don't know, man. I mean, people that are you think they'd be completely healthy and fine, and then they take you out of there. Because what it does is it just attacks your lungs, and you basically suffocate, you choke out.
Right.
And no matter how strong and healthy you think you are, like I said again, I don't know nobody around me who's got it, but it's out there, and
I think that, so for example, I do know like several people, but they're people that I've met. So Walter from Safety Harbor Firearms is in the chat. I know his sister.
This?
Yeah, his sister in Vegas, and then his two brothers-in-law in Louisiana. So I believe it's a thing, but I don't believe that it's as widespread and destructive as they said. And yet, for sure, there's some people out there who are being, really badly affected by this. But I think probably when they actually count all the beans on this one, they'll find out that a lot of us already had this thing. Probably on the level of like 70%.
Yes. And then this is something I've taken some heat for on social media because it's not my ideas. I'm doing things like posting Governor Cuomo of New York's numbers, where he had New York State had a 15,000 person antibody test done, and according to their numbers, something like almost 20%, 19.9% of all New Yorkers tested positive on a 15,000 person sample, and then they extrapolate from there. Darn near 20% of New York City inhabitants have already had COVID-19. And if that's the case, that means there's been 1.6 million cases of this stuff that had no symptoms that people have already had. Yeah. And it's replicated over and over. I mean, like on the USS Theodore Roosevelt, the naval example, there's 840 cases. Like 400 or 500 of those cases had no symptoms whatsoever. If they hadn't been in the Navy, where the Navy could mandate that they had to get tested, right? Because I personally know people who were suspected of having it, and then they tried to go to a hospital and get tested, and the hospital said, no, you don't have the symptoms. We're not testing you. We're going to save the test for the folks who have the symptoms. So it's looking like in 50, maybe even 60% of people who get this thing never even know they have it because they have no symptoms. So that means, and I looked at this up today, there's like 3 million confirmed cases, people with symptoms who went to a hospital who got tested who were verified. If there's 1.6 million undetected cases in New York City alone, there's millions upon millions of people in the U.S. who have it right now and don't know it, or who had it in the last couple of months and never knew it. Because the only way you get antibodies in your blood is if you had it, right?
Have it and fight it off.
Yeah. And so the thing about that is that we went, because of fear, we went immediately to, we have to shut everything down. No one could go to the hospitals. That's actually putting hospitals out of business. I don't think people realize that. Most hospitals are going to be laying off people here. If they, a lot of them already started. If they haven't, it's going to happen within the next couple of weeks. So the
hospital I was born in Northwest Arkansas 2 weeks ago furloughed 307 employees because they don't have anybody coming in because they're, by order of the governor, they were restricted to either COVID-19 cases or people, like if you got your leg amputated and you're going to bleed to death, then go to the emergency room. But they laid off over 300 employees, the hospital I was born in.
And that's first wave.
Elective surgeries is where they make their money, too.
So we shut that down. We shut the whole country down when we didn't have like this super crisis that we had to go to the shutting it down level. you know, and
Well,
now
they
we're
didn't
here
know
that
it
there's
first,
these ripple
yeah.
effects happening, right?
Well, and I'm not convinced. So they didn't even have that. They have admittedly stated that they didn't have the proper testing available. But all these deaths that were occurring, you know, this person and that person's dying of COVID-19. But everybody that was passing away with a set of symptoms that could be elderly and had a potential of getting pneumonia anyway or underlying conditions, they pass away, and it's like, oh, COVID-19. You know, and so I think that the initial figures are completely skewed. You know, I don't know. I have some ideas of, you know, that this is a real thing. People have suffered from it.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that there's been some political foul play in all this, and you know, utilizing the media, fear factor. I almost feel like it's a test market for socialism to see if we will abide by the government lockdown to tell us what to do and how to do it. And you saw this play out in a lot of the legislation that has been introduced. So the first thing they do is they create a economic climate where we feel globally that we're dependent on the government. Oh, please send us some stimulus money. And then you've got, you know, people on both sides of the fence. Okay, well, to get this stimulus money, you're going to have to, you know, pass this red flag gun legislation in with it. You know, what? You know, change the election laws. What?
That sounds like China. That sounds like China saying, "Hey, you
Exactly.
want these medical supplies? You better get that 5G."
Exactly. So, you know, I always say, you know, anytime we trade a little bit of security from the government and for some of our liberties, we all lose in the end. We don't get those back, but that money will be spent and gone.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's the thing about when they start enacting laws, it is harder than hell to reverse it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask a question.
And that's just the truth. And I mean, you know, I mean, even in my own household, you know, I got, you know, but I feel like government. I know it sounds crazy, and not crazy, but this is taken to the extreme. But government should fear the people. People should not fear the government.
That's not extreme.
They got T-shirts.
Yes, that's not
crazy.
extreme for us,
That's
Mo.
Constitution.
You are amongst brothers right now, man.
Amen, hallelujah.
That's our mantra over here.
You know,
I got a question for everybody.
Uh-huh.
Who else spent their stimulus money on a gun already besides me?
Well, who got stimulus money? I know. So
I did.
I didn't get any Trump money. Will, did you get any
I
Trump
didn't
money?
get any
Yeah.
Trump money.
I bought ammo.
I wanted it.
Yeah.
I always wanted to know in the you know, for the stimulus checks, was there a caliber or a chambering down there?
Mine was 5.56. So
So, yeah,
Mine was
what
338
chamber did you spend your stimulus money?
I'll be honest. I bought me a whole bunch of Prime.
Oh, yeah.
300 grain, baby.
Wait, you dropped that whole thing on
Yeah.
338
Yeah.
Lapua, Mo? Really?
I sure-
baby.
You know,
He dropped that on like half a 338.
Oh, wow.
Lapua.
You're right. But
So-
I still got, I got some. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
geez.
my daughter's birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and it was tough, but I had to give up the idea of thermal to get her birthday present, and so I went and bought her a motorcycle.
Oh, nice.
Yep,
That's
she's
good,
been on
man.
a little.
Yeah.
She's been on a little dirt bike for a couple of years, and so I went shopping. I got her a nice little dirt bike. But anyway, I was down there, and they were talking about, you know, we don't understand why everybody's flooding in to buy things. And I got to thinking, I was like, stimulus money.
Woo.
Nobody's going to buy groceries. They're going to the motorcycle shop. They're going to Brownells. Take my
Heck yeah,
money.
baby!
I'll take it all.
That's the
you got-
truth.
Yeah, that Trump
Yeah,
money.
they gave us our own tax dollars back, so heck yeah, I'm gonna go buy one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a weird situation. You know, K&M Arms is in the K&M Arms. He's in the chat. Ken, by the way, Mo, you're into bullpups. He makes one of the best bullpups in my opinion. 308 version. You got to go look that up. K&M Arms, man.
I have to do that. I'm
Yeah.
a bullpup man myself.
Oh yeah, he K&M Arms. I have one 308. It's so if you ever heard of the Bushmaster M17S, he took that and actually perfected it. Made it into a working. It's like the best trigger on a bullpup. I'm just saying. Ken doesn't pay me to say that. That, you know,
Oh.
just an awesome gun. So he says, I can't tell you how many rifles, I have sold with Trump bucks. So that Trump
Hey,
money. That
we
Trump
speak the
money's out
truth
there.
on Who Moved My Freedom podcast.
Yeah, Safety
I'm
Harbor. Walt
looking at it
says,
right now on the
they're
internet,
going to SHL.
3.5
Go ahead.
pound trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Bullpup with a 3.5 pound trigger.
Yeah.
I gotta try that.
I have videos on this. You guys should check out. If you go to the Hank Strange channel, look up K&M Arms up there, K&M Arms, and you will see it's freaking badass, man.
Well, you know, the only way I was able to get a trigger that I liked in my Tavor was to run the Geisley trigger. But you know, I'd
Which
really
Tavor
like. Sir?
Which Tavor do you have?
I've got the old SAR, the original 5.56, and you know, by the time I had it down the track, I'd gone so far. You know, I got the Manticore Arms,
the Razorback
torque sealer, and the ridge on top. You know, to get the proper eye relief, and I put a Midwest Tactical key mod front end on it. And, you know, short story, I decked it out. And so by the time they came out with the X95, I was like, you know, X95 comes out of the box with all that stuff, but I'm already there. So
X95 is nice too, man. I still have both. Yeah, I have both.
Yeah,
I have the X95.
That new 7, man, it's a step. To me, it's a step up from that 95.
Yeah, I would like to get my hands on.
It's got a nice trigger, man.
As well as the 12 gauge.
12 gauge is a monster, man. I was like a T-Rex, man. The hairs on the back of my neck. Dude, first of all, I went to the range and I brought like 338 and I brought pistols and stuff. And I had a bunch of targets and I shot those up, you know, with the rounds. And then I saved the best for last with that 12 gauge, baby. And you talking about people? It was a full lane, cause when I started dropping those 3-inch slugs. I obliterated at target.
I'm pretty sure you went past the Biden 2 blast.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
By the way,
he did mag dump right there, 12 gauge. Everybody's head's like, what?
That's how you gotta do it. That's
that speaks with authority.
That's the zombie meat grinder. K&M says, Ken says, how much did that trigger cost on top of the rifle? By the way, the K&M rifle comes with Elftman. That trigger in there that Roy was talking about is an Elftman trigger.
Oh wow! So I wanted to circle back. I never really got. You know, we kind of diverted. Okay. I wasn't trying to steal his thunder, K&M. I want to look into his guns. It sounds like an awesome. You know, the point of me saying that the only way I achieved that was, you know, Geisley triggers are awesome. Yeah. They are.
Oh yeah.
You know, but like he said, I can't remember exactly. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $300 on top of the rifle cost to get that level of trigger. And if his rifles come out of the box with it, man, that's like. And Elfman triggers are no joke. Yeah. I mean, they're quality triggers as well, and 3.5 pounds is perfect.
Yeah. Also the K&M, and I now really sound like a sales guy for it, but it's all aluminum. So, there you go. Except for the butt pad.
Weight? I haven't handled it. How does it kind of compare, you know?
Feels good to me. The 30, I have the 308, which I think is like the way to go. It feels good to me, man. I'm enjoying it. You know, so he hasn't gone into 6.5 Creedmoor yet. I was talking to him about it. You know, he wasn't. That would be cool.
Huh? But it's got to be 6 Creedmoor to be au courant.
Oh, okay, Roy.
Well, you know,
absolutely, 6
So
Creedmoor.
the only problem that I could see, and you know, and maybe the bullpup is the way to go, but you know, anytime you're going to run 6 Creedmoor or 6.5 Creedmoor, you're going to have more barrel length because I mean it operates on velocity. It's almost the 5.56. You know, principle, you know, times 10 up there with the 270s and the 308s. But, you know, typically you'll see any barrel that runs, and, you know, if you're going to run a short barrel, let's say 308, you can get away with 16 inches. You know, you're going to need 18 or 20 for a 6.5 Creedmoor. Okay. And, you know, so on one side, the bullpup is like the perfect place for that because you get to run the extra length, but in that shorter package. But then the flip side, devil's advocate, is I wanted the shorter package. So if I really want the bullpup shorter package, maybe I need to go through it.
Phrasing. You said you wanted the shorter package. Don't ever admit to that. Yeah.
I didn't say I had
Nobody wants the shorter package.
Don't be rubbing it.
First it was dragons, now it's packaging.
Yeah, he's the only one going there, man. Nobody else going there.
I go there by remote. I go there.
Minded. I blew on by it, and he had to like put brakes on me.
Phrasing. Flying Rich gave us a couple of bucks. He says, "Roy, can I get into the BOP?" You know.
All right, I will make an email and a phone call tomorrow. I'll see what I can do, Flying Rich.
Yeah, he's trying to get into the BOP there. Okay, go ahead.
Flying Rich, we have not been. I'm in the middle of week 8 from working from home.
We are in the coronavirus shutdown.
Week 8.
Yeah.
I got a bootleg haircut today. I'm not saying where.
Oh, jeez.
But I did. And it may or may not have been by a licensed professional, but it happened.
Yeah.
I've thrown a man mane going on.
Oh, that hair looks. Those locks look good. What were you saying, Mo?
I said I'm heading. I think Thursday. Yeah, Thursday I'm heading to Texas, man. I sold my barbecue pit, my competition pit, and I'm ordering a big 1,000-gallon tank. And I'm going to Luling, Texas, and I'm going to Houston. And so I'm going down there. I'm looking forward to getting back out on the road because normally I'm always grinding, going here and there, and this COVID thing got me locked up at home, which is, it's good. I was able to get some stuff done around the house and hang out with the family.
Yeah, man, we actually pinned you down to do the podcast. If it wasn't for this freaking Corona thing, man, we wouldn't be able to pin you down.
I'd be over in Japan, actually for the military.
I know.
I was thinking that would be so much pressure. The guy that buys Mo Cason's competition barbecue pit.
Jeez.
Like there's only one. He can only screw it up from there.
Right.
That he is the pinnacle.
Yeah. I tell you what, the pit I have, it's from Rockin' W Smokers. I had it built in 2017. The best offset stick burner I've ever cooked on.
Is that on your? Is that on?
I've owned all type of offset stick burners. It is the best stick burner I've ever owned.
Is the new one or the old one on your IG, Mo?
The old one on here, take, and it's got my ship's crest. I had U.S. Missouri crest on the lid. Beautiful pit.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Is that the blue
seasoned.
one? The blue one.
The blue one.
Guaranteed seasoned.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just cooks like a champ.
Yeah.
And it's just easy, easy to run. And so, but it's time for me to. I've always wanted a 1,000-gallon pit.
Ooh.
And that's a big boy, and I've always wanted one. And these two up-and-coming pit builders out of Luling, Texas, they hit me up. Ronnie Killen's a huge entrepreneur, great restaurateur, barbecue legend. He's a personal friend of mine. I'm going down and hang out with him actually to cook. He's got one. He just had one delivered last week. It's a Syntex smoker. And I wouldn't buy it until I found out what he said. He fired it up last week, cooked ribs and chicken on it, and we're good friends. And he would tell me straight up if it was good or not good. Because when you get to a 1,000-gallon pit, it's got to flow, man. A small pit's got to flow. When you start getting up to the 1,000-gallon pit, it is crucial.
So what are you using there? Are you using wood, coal, gas?
Wood.
Okay.
Sticks of wood. I'm good friends. I'm tied in with. I'm a brand ambassador for B&B Charcoal. So I just got a shipment today, a big pallet full of wood and lump charcoal and sticks. Pecan wood is my jam. So is post oak. That's my 2 favorite woods. So that's what I got garage full of right now, and then I run that. I'll start a bed of coals, then I'll add sticks crisscross throughout the cooking process, and I'll use post. And then pecan, I'll use one, like depending on where I'm at, I might use 2 sticks of post and 1 oak. This is every 40-45 minutes. So, but I can get back to it with a 1,000-gallon tank. You understand, that's a monstrous tank.
Mm-hmm.
How many cows or pigs will that hold?
And that'll hold, I mean, hell.
Oh, Boston Bucks or something, man. You could probably put, what, 40 maybe?
All day long.
Oh,
golly.
How many?
I think 1, 2. I don't take that back. You probably put 6 pigs in there. The pigs are not all that big. I mean, probably 80-pounders.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's get into Roy. Are you good on time? I don't want to.
Yeah. We're getting to the barbecue portion.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was also going to ask.
I was
also going to ask when we will be able to go to Barnauls and get the Big Mo Cason spices and barbecue paraphernalias.
Well, we
I
were
don't want to put any
supposed to have a
pressure
Big
on
Mo
you.
Cason barbecue class at Barnauls in March, I think, and I was going to go to it, but it got canceled because of the COVID-19 stuff.
Yeah, when is so? Did you guys haven't rescheduled that? I take it.
I was gonna cook that, man.
Okay, I better get an invitation. That's all I know.
Well, you were saying post oak and pecan, right?
That's my jam. I mean,
that's your wood. All right.
If I'm competing and if I'm down, depending on where I'm at, like for example, if I'm down in Tennessee,
right,
I will use a little hickory because hickory's king down there.
That's the thing.
And even down in Arkansas, a little bit of hickory, you know. But like if I'm in Texas, I cook with post oak and pecan. Now if I'm in West Texas, I'm going to use a little mesquite.
Yep.
All depends where you're at. If I'm in Georgia, I'm going to throw a little peach along with some hickory. You know, so you got to know. You got to
applewood.
Applewood.
A lot of people do here for
Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in Wisconsin, use some applewood. Applewood's a good wood, actually. I started cooking. That's what I used. I worked at the water plant, and they had crabapple trees, so I used to get a bunch of free crabapple, and this actually was really, really good. But you learn that you use what's available in your area, but you also use what they're used to. Like if you go down, like when I first started cooking in Texas, I've always been intrigued with Texas. And when I started cooking down there, you know, I'm from Iowa. So, I mean, I'm cooking more like Kansas City style, you know. And when I went out to Texas and South, you learn real quick what flies and what don't fly. So you get these guys out of Oklahoma that ain't never cooked on mesquite. Great. Ton of trophies, won all kinds of stuff. And I remember I was in West Texas and Midland, Texas, and these big name guys, I mean, they're friends of mine, and we were walking away from the cooks meeting, you know, and getting ready for the night, and I said, dude, and I at that time I already started doing a few cook-offs in Texas, and I said, man, you better add a little mesquite to your pit. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. I said, man, these judges are off the street. And these guys were like, hell no, I ain't never had mesquite run through my pit. I ain't putting no mesquite through my pit, blah, 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 blah. I said, all right now. A big location was sat in there, and I'd be running pecan, and every once in a while I'd throw a little stick of mesquite in that pit. Just every little bit. Just every once in a while, maybe every 3 hours, throw a little stick in there, mesquite. And was brisket. And to get a brisket call, a high brisket call in Texas, that's a big thing, because brisket's king in Texas. And I think it was like 80 teams. And I got like second or third in brisket. And all these other guys that, you know, that are supposed to be, you know, they are, you know.
The big dogs.
They win a lot, all that kind of stuff. And they were like at 30th, 40th place. Their eyeballs are falling on their head. And I said, I told you, man. Some judges, once they open that box up, dude, once they open that box
smell
up, and they smell, you cooking a brisket on cherry. They're like, what the hell is that? Some judges down there like, what the hell is that?
You have to set the palate.
When I went to Arkansas, I cooked all around Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and one of my first sauces I ever made it's killer. It's a raspberry chipotle glaze I made, and I coated my ribs with it. I coated my pulled pork with it. It was money. I was getting trophies here in all Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I took my ass down to Arkansas for the first time.
Which part of Arkansas? Pine Bluff. Oh, hell, I used to live in Pine Bluff. And
this is what you call Arkansas love right here.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm from Iowa, and I pulled up with my rig. I dropped this girl and her husband walk up to me. And she walked up to me, and she took her hand, she grabbed a ass full of cheek of Moes, and she goes, what's up, sugar? How you doing? And I was like, damn.
Welcome to Arkansas. Pine Bluff, baby.
And that's what he said. He said, welcome to Arkansas.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I cooked my ribs, some killer ribs, and I glazed them with the raspberry chipotle glaze. I'm going to tell you, that was the first time and last time, not the first time, but the last time I used my raspberry chipotle in competition because I was so angry. Because I got my results, and I know these ribs were bomb. I was just at a contest 3 weeks prior to that. I got first place ribs. And this is when you're talking about cooking in different regions, a different area.
Right.
You go to Arkansas, they don't know what the hell raspberry chipotle glaze are. Hell, what is that?
Yeah. So let's talk.
Arkansas is weird.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say Arkansas is weird for barbecue because it depends on which part of the state you're in. Pine Bluff's down the south, central part of the state. I lived in Pine Bluff till I was 4 years old. I was kind of maybe psychologically affected by, but that's other stories. But
Okay.
Northwest Arkansas, it's Missouri style, and the further south you get on the western side, it's more Texas style. My wife's from Blytheville, Arkansas, which is over on the Mississippi River, the eastern style, and the best barbecue restaurant where she grew up is called the Dixie Pig, and it's Eastern Carolina with vinegar sauce type barbecue. So you got all the different weird. It depends on which part of the state of Arkansas you're in too.
So that goes right along with the question I was going to ask. How seriously do people around America from state to state take this barbecue thing? Is it?
It's a religion.
Ooh. Oh man, it's religion. It's
life or death.
Oh really?
It's serious.
Yes,
man.
Yeah. So,
you get humbled real quick if you don't know how to adjust. And that's one thing. I've cooked it all over this great country. That's just that is what. And I'm a self-taught cook, and so I've cooked all by myself all over this country. So I've learned flavor profile. You can just smell it in the air. You can smell the wood. You can smell their sauces that they're putting on their meat. You can just pick up so much if you just stop and just smell and look, and you would see exactly what's going on, and you learn. And I've got tons of trophies I've gotten from Arkansas because I've learned. I've got tons from Tennessee and Georgia because you learn of what is what they like. Because some judges are from the area. They're not from Connecticut. They ain't from California. They're from the area. So if you think you're gonna come, I'm gonna take another example. I was in Oregon. I was cooking the KCBS sanctioned cook-off. This is my second year cooking. This is 2007. I started in 2006. I drove my happy ass all the way out to Oregon, KCBS, thinking that it would be like Kansas City, Missouri, or Arkansas. And I cooked a amazing brisket. And I remember going to the awards where they give their awards. It was at the fairgrounds, and I was sitting on a picnic table. And I remember these three judges. I'll never forget it. These judges came down and sat at my table. They were waiting to see the results, and these guys were raving over this guy's blueberry glazed brisket, blueberry sauce glazed brisket. I just stood up. And I said to myself, and I'll be frank, I said, I'm fucked. That's what I said to myself. Straight up. I walked away. I didn't say it out loud. I just said to myself. And sure enough, that guy got first place brisket. That tells you how different it is. If you took a blueberry glazed brisket down to Northwest Arkansas or Texas and see what happens to it, you get slaughtered. But you go in Oregon, that would pass.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. You learn by hard knocks, by what rocks and on. A friend of mine, what he used to do, he used to go to grocery stores. If he ain't never been to a town before, he'd go to the grocery store and he'd look at what the barbecue sauce that's being sold. And you would mimic your sauce after that sauce that's been on the shelf. Yeah. Because whatever that sauce is on the shelf that's selling, that's what the people are using in that town.
That's what people don't realize. Like, everyone has their tastes for things. And anything else is alien, so it's gonna take them. That's a really good point, Mo.
It's human nature.
We're all like that.
Yep.
I would be remiss. I mentioned this before we went live. I've got you captive. You're the king of barbecue, and brisket is. For those. So, Mo, you may not know this, but I do a little bit of cooking on national television. I'm self-taught. I don't like to call myself a chef because I'm
not a chef. I'm just a pitmaster. That's all I am.
Yeah, man. And so I'm just a cowboy that sat out here by the grill, and I've smoked a few things. I've grilled a whole lot. I love it. That's the biggest thing. Brisket is hard. Brisket and ribs, man. Smoking meat is hard. Brisket to me is harder than ribs. But without giving your deep, darkest secrets on specialty, take us through how do you smoke the perfect brisket? Because I get asked by customers all the time. They're like, it's dry. It's I've done this and that.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm looking for a pencil.
Yeah. Watch the replay.
I'm gonna watch the replay.
The thing about it is with brisket. Brisket to me is actually one of the easiest things to cook. Chicken is the hardest thing to cook.
Really?
If you're gonna compete.
Okay.
Believe it or not, because with chicken, there's a ton of different flavor profiles, and you have to get the skin right. Bite through skin.
Yeah.
Okay?
I 100% agree.
Brisket, there's only so many ways you're going to do brisket. So the thing that's going to win, it's texture. When I judge on TV shows, the thing that wins out, it's flavor, obviously, but the big thing for me is I take apart is texture. Texture is everything. You can have some great tasting brisket, but because it's tough or mushy or overcooked, you're done. You're not going to go nowhere. Okay? Same thing with ribs or chicken, whatever. If you're going to cook some ribs that are great tasting, but the ribs are tough or the ribs are overcooked, you're done. You just cut your throat. So when it comes to brisket, here's the key. When I taste my barbecue,
everybody got closer.
All right, I'm listening.
No, seriously,
including myself.
When you're cooking a brisket, the quality on a brisket is paramount. It's paramount for pork, it's paramount for chicken, it's paramount for ribs, but with brisket, it's super paramount. The marbling of that brisket, as long as you cook it correctly, it's going to give you what it's going to give you. For example, I was a hard neck guy, never had no sponsors back when I first started. I never heard about Wagyu. I cooked a prime brisket. I take a prime brisket, I would go and age it myself, and I got a little refrigerator out in the garage. I would age it, another 30 days on it, and I would micromanage that brisket. I'm a one-man team, so I don't have the luxury of having teammates and cooking 3 or 4 briskets to choose from. I took the best of 3 racks of ribs, 12 pieces of chicken, 4 butts or 2 butts, and 1 brisket, and I make the best of it. So I micromanage it from the beginning to the end. So if you're going to use, I'll give you a quick example. When it took me a while, and it wasn't until Wagyu started getting really popular in competition, I'm not going to go through the whole story because it involved my buddy Tuffy and was kind of a funny thing, but I actually insulted didn't mean insult her, but I insulted the buyer, the person who represents Snake River Farms. I was at Memphis Main World Championship. I was overseeing my buddy Tuffy, and she was there. I didn't know who she was, and he was talking, and he goes, "Hey, Mo, this is so-and-so, so-and-so for Snake River Farms." I was like, "Yeah, okay, what's up?" And up to that point, all I cooked was prime brisket. And he goes, "Here, we cooked the Wagyu brisket." And I said, "No, I ain't paying on blah, 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 blah." And her eyeballs got big as poop balls, and she just looked at me. And she looked at Tuffy, and she goes, "Well, Tuffy, you have a good day?" She goes, "Mo, you have a good day. Nice to meet you." I'm like, "Cool." So she walks out the area, and Tuffy looked at me. He goes, "Man, you know who that was?" I said, "Hell no, I don't know. You said it was so-and-so." He said, "Man, she was getting ready to give you free briskets." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah." So later on that fall, I drove my happy ass out to Idaho, Meridian. That's where Lake River Farms was, and there was a cook-off there. It was the only sanctioned cook-off in that state. So if you won it, you got automatically put into the Jack Daniels Invitational. So I drove my butt out there, and I had my little prime brisket I cooked for years. Age it for 30 days. I'd mark it with a Sharpie, boom, 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 micromanage it, do my steps, my injections, all that kind of stuff. Well, when I got out there, here you go. She pulls up. She goes, "Hey, Mo." I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" She goes, "Hey, I want to give you a brisket. I want you to try." I said, "Okay." And so I did the same steps of that brisket that I did with my prime. Did the same steps, same rub, same injection, blah, blah, blah. When I cooked that the next day, went to go start slicing that off, the first piece I took was that Wagyu brisket. That is when I knew, when it comes to competition and for home, whatever, quality matters. I ended up winning first place brisket, and I ended up winning the cook-off. It got me into the Jack Daniels that fall. And ever since then, I was cooking in briskets. Okay. But I don't cook Wagyu all the time at home because, I mean, I can go to Costco and get a prime, or I can cook an Angus choice. The key is this. When it comes to a brisket, you want to cook the highest quality marbling you can get. As long as you do your steps right, it's going to give more flavor, because what is fat? Fat is flavor. Fat is moisture. That's all it is.
Fat is king.
When I teach my barbecue class, imagine a brisket just like cooking a steak. When a steak is rare, it is at its most juiciest. When a steak is well done, it's lost a lot of moisture. That process between rare and well done, it's the moisture leaving that piece of meat. Imagine that piece of meat, there's a bunch of muscle fibers, and all those muscle fibers is holding water, holding moisture. And those fibers pop to release this moisture. That's what takes the meat from raw to well done, to wherever state you're going to do. Same thing with brisket. So if you can get a brisket that has a higher marbling content, That fat, it's going to render out, and it's actually cooling those muscle fibers. It's slowing that process down, allowing you to get the tissues done to done temperature, and you're going to have a juicier, more flavorful piece of meat at the end. So, but you could take a brisket that's more of a lower quality. Now you got to be more trickier. It's actually harder to cook a lower quality brisket well than it is a higher end brisket because it's less forgiving. For example, if you're going to cook a brisket, say low and slow, I can cook a brisket at 200 degrees pit temperature, and I can cook it for 12 hours at 210 degrees. And at 12 hours, I come back, that brisket's resting at 198, 200 degrees. The magic number that I use for brisket, and I use it for my ribs, and I use it for my pork butt, it's 203 degrees.
Okay.
I use it for my Wagyu. I use it for my pork butts. I use it for my ribs. 203 to 205. Okay, that's going to be that magic number. That's when that muscle fibers, the collagen, start to melt. That if you take a brisket raw and you cut it and you pull it apart against the grain, you see the little spider web type, that's the collagen. You're softening that up, but you don't want to completely melt all of the collagen out. That's when you have overcooked brisket and it falls apart.
What temperature do you wrap yours? Do you typically wrap it during the cooking process?
Yes, I do. It all depends on the pit I'm using. If I'm using a stick burner, like my stick burner, you're going to have to stop that smoke process because you want to preserve the color. To me, it's all about color and the internal temperature. Do not get so caught up on internal temperature because every piece of meat is different. You may have two briskets that are the same weight but two different qualities that will cook totally different. So, generally, when a brisket's at 160, 170 degrees Fahrenheit internal temperature, you should have the right kind of color, that deep mahogany starting to, that bark formed on that brisket. Now, I use butcher paper. Now, when I first started cooking back in the day, I wrapped the whole brisket in foil. That is absolutely horrible. I used to hate it because what happens when you wrap a piece of meat in foil? You steam it. So that beautiful bark that you worked hard on, now it's mush. You can take your finger on top of that brisket and rip it across that brisket, and the whole seasoning comes right off the brisket. When I start cooking in Texas, going to Texas and eating, I start seeing these people pulling briskets out of warmers and start taking briskets out of pits. Butcher paper, non-wax butcher paper has the same effect almost as foil, but it allows the meat to breathe so you don't lose the bark. So what I do is I'll take 2 sheets of foil at 160, 170 degrees pit temperature on that brisket. I take it out and I put it on a piece of foil. And then I take a piece of peach butcher paper or white butcher paper, non-wax, and I put it on top of the brisket and I crimp the sides all around. So it's like a boat. So now I got the best of both worlds. I'm not losing any liquid. I'm not going to have that much liquid anyway because the brisket's still able to breathe because the butcher paper is allowing that top of that brisket to escape that excess moisture. So now when you get it done at 203 degrees, you take that out, which is the most important part, is allowing that brisket to rest. Because what happens is during the cooking process, the juices are pushing from the inside of the brisket outwardly. Okay, in the rest period, when the brisket has reached the internal temperature, them juices are going to actually try to start working back towards the center of that brisket. That's why it's so crucial not to cut brisket once you reach your internal temperature. It's so important to let that thing rest in a cooler for 2 to 3 hours to allow them juices to redistribute within that brisket. You're going to have 9 out of 10 times, you're going to have a better brisket all the time by letting it rest.
Okay.
Man, I totally feel like Luke Skywalker listening to Master Yoda.
Yeah, I know. Roy had a question.
For hours.
No, I was gonna say. Last summer, I was fortunate enough to try some of Moes Wagyu brisket, and oh my Lord, meat.
You see, but you gotta watch it too. You have to watch it because depending on where you're going, like when Wagyu wasn't a big thing in Texas, it is now for competition. But when I started competing, the people that are off the street, because the IBCA was a sanctioning body, all those judges are from off the street. They're not eating Wagyu. Some people never had Wagyu. So they're getting briskets that they get at the local barbecue smoke shop, the barbecue pit place. That's where they're getting it. And they're all cooking just choice brisket. So what happens is if you're cooking a Wagyu brisket, and I can see it in your you can see it in your scores. If you're cooking a Wagyu brisket, now everybody's up to speed now, so they know the difference. But in the beginning, a Wagyu brisket was cooked, as you can tell, it's super soft, super decadent, super rich. It tastes totally different than the brisket you would get at a place, in a typical barbecue place in Texas. Well, those people are coming out of that place and they tasting their brisket. They think it's overcooked because it's so soft. So soft. And they think it's overcooked and they're going to score you down because they think something's wrong with it. That's the same thing with Berkshire. I'm an Iowa boy, and I was a big Berkshire guy. Berkshire hogs. The old school Berkshire have a very distinct flavor to them. That's old pork. That's how pork used to taste before producers have bred all the marbling out of these hogs to get them to market fast. You take a Berkshire and a Duroc. That's why I use Duroc now. But a Berkshire, if you taste a Berkshire, it has a very strong pork flavor. But if you don't know, if a judge is getting their stuff at Costco and Sam's Club, when they taste that pork, they're going to think it's off-putting because it's so different.
Okay, you're going over their heads.
So you got to play the game. I mean, you can see it in your score. You might get 9 in appearance, and all of a sudden with taste, they're going to give you a 7 out of 9 because they think something's wrong with it because it's really rich. Some people will call it gamey. It's not gamey. If you taste a good Berkshire, it is wonderful. But that's how pork used to taste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me get to this. Armament and Axes gave us $2 here. He's actually been giving us some dollars here. He asked this question. He says, Moe's best method for filet mignon.
Oh shoot. I got a cognac sauce that I make, dude, that is just fire. You go on YouTube, you can see it. But I do a steak. I do a steak. You can use it on any steak. You can use it on pork loin if you want. But I do a butter cognac sauce on steak, and I won a lot of steak cook-offs with this bad boy in Texas.
Man, I got to get some of your sauces and rubs.
You get it, man.
So wait. That was butter. Wait, hold on. That was butter cognac?
Yeah. Like, you can't go wrong there.
Okay.
No, man.
French brandy. Yeah, baby.
Say that again. Say that again, Roy.
High-end French brandy is what cognac is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And I have a recipe on YouTube. You just go Cason, big Cason cognac sauce, and I do it's butter, it's green onions, it's a little of my beef rub, it's a little bit of Kikkoman's low sodium soy sauce, okay, and a little bit of Dijon mustard, Grey Poupon, and you melt that up. And you get all the flavors to meld, and then you take your steak. Now I'll make a compound butter where I'll take some herbs and I'll take some soft like Irish butter, and I would incorporate some chopped herbs, and then I would put it in a cellophane bag, twist it to where it makes a log, put it in the refrigerator, let it get solid. Then and the steak gets done, seasoned with Cason beef rub or Texas brisket rub that I have, or my steakhouse rub. All of it's fantastic. Slice off a tab right before the steak is done. Put the tabs on. But before I do that, I'll hit it with that cognac sauce. I only flip my steak once. So I'll get my crosshatch on one steak, flip it, and then that's...
I was going to ask grill or if you, because a lot of times I'll do it in like a cast iron skillet. I'll sear it and then finish it in the oven. That's probably the cheater's way, but man, it makes it perfect.
I'm the kind of person where I'm all about flame kiss. I'm a real big flame kiss grill guy. So I've been in some high-end restaurants in Chicago that are known for doing that, and it's just, to me, it's not the same as having flame kiss. There's something to do when you're cooking meat over fire.
Oh,
just like
100%.
when I do my briskets for competition, and it all depends on where I'm at, because if I'm doing it in Tennessee or whatever, I don't do this. If I'm in Oklahoma, or if I'm in Arkansas, or if I'm in Texas, I'll do this. I'll have a drum smoker, and I'll have a low fire in the charcoal basket. Low. The distance between that fire and the top of the grate, 17 inches. And I'll take my brisket and I'll season up after it's all ejected and all ready to go. I put it over a low fire for an hour. I do about 20 minutes on meat side down, and I'll flip it on fat side down, and I put it. And when you have meat dripping off of a piece of meat hitting the fire, that is a wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
A smoke will not do that.
Yeah.
Because the fire's in a different location.
Yeah. That's what gets your tongue ready.
Yeah, well, and my default
about an hour. Then I'll have my stick burner running. It's at 300 degrees, and my grill's at 300 degrees. So my stick burner's at 300 degrees or 275, and then I'll do my brisket over a low fire for about an hour, and then I transfer it over to my stick burner and take it out the back end, cook it correctly like I would normally traditional brisket. What happens is at the end, when you slice that brisket will have a slight hint of grill flavor. like a steak. Then it has that long smoke flavor like you cook on traditional brisket. That's the 1-2 punch. See what I'm saying? Then it just haven't been smoked.
Yeah.
Well, no, I agree with the fire kissed. You know, my default method of cooking steak, and you know, contrary to what people would think as a beef producer, I don't eat steak every night, but I do eat it quite regularly.
There's nothing wrong with
you know,
every
my
night.
default method is it's always the grill. But you know, I guess the reason I do other methods, you know, when it comes to like taking out the cast iron or trying to, you know, change up the flavor and the texture profile. I love grilled meat, but when you eat it so often, it's almost like I'm creating variety within my own products, you know, so it's like a different texture, a different taste, kind of artistic with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But, you know,
Go ahead.
I do the cast iron in the winter in Iowa because you can't grill outside because it's negative. But as soon as it's warm enough, I grill. Yeah. I do them both. Wait a minute.
I grill all year long. What do you mean you can't grill outside?
You're okay, son, man. I ain't.
Yeah, everybody doesn't have 1,000 gallon
I'm from
smoker.
Arkansas. I don't do that negative 30 stuff. No.
So let me get a couple things in here. Poe Izzy wanted to know. I think he says, are these sauces available to purchase? So So tell the folks where they get that from. Say it again.
Moes on BBQ.com.
Okay.
There's certain Hy-Vees that carry it. I don't know if he's in Iowa, and then Academy Sports carries all my products.
You know, you know, we mentioned this earlier, Mo. I'm on air with Shop HQ, which is like QVC, and so we sell nationwide. You know, I don't want to open up a full dialogue, but, you know, certainly afterwards, I can't speak for the network, but I know they're always looking for quality products and talent. And
I'll be right there with you.
Be a great connection, man. Man, for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man.
I'm trying to get that Trichicon, man. I'm trying to work on Barnauls. Put me on, man, because you know that's like what I want, like $9,000. So
hey,
might give me a little discount, hopefully. You know, I got a couple grants for the next 3 years.
Mo is a hustler, man. Mo is a hustler.
Hey, I just want to know, how do we get these two fine gentlemen together, and then I like margaritas and bring cigars?
Yeah, we have to plan something.
How do we make this happen?
Man, and what you know, he's always talking about the quality of meat. You know, that's I tell everybody that you can't make a Picasso without a right canvas. I mean, you got to start with the right foundation, and you know, you really hit it on the head. And Wagyu is a great product for those that you know are joining that are not in the food industry or beef producer. What Wagyu is, in short, is you may have heard of Kobe beef. It's you know a process that happens in Japan where they massage the cows and beer and whatever. Well, the underlying genetic breed is the Wagyu. That is the actual cow itself. So that's kind of gotten termed because the Kobe beef is a process. So Wagyu is the breed and
the source.
It's the source. And you know, here in the US, they often breed Wagyu with Black Angus.
Exactly.
You know,
that's what Pitmasters Farms does.
Yeah.
It's not a Wagyu. It's a breed.
Yeah. And you know the purpose of that. So why are they utilizing Wagyu? You talk about the marbling. So the USDA has a rating scale. You know, select, choice, prime. Prime being the top tier. Well, true Kobe beef, measuring Wagyu cattle, is an A 1 through 5 rating, and it's prime plus. And you know it's a excellent product. Sometimes I think it's misbranded in the U.S. You know, it might be deemed Wagyu, and it's not really true.
That's
Wagyu
exactly right. Tinker Farms does that. I'll put it out there. Tinker Farms does not have 100% Wagyu. A true Wagyu brisket is not very big in depth. You need Angus for that. The height of that brisket, like when I'm cooking 21-pound briskets, okay, they're not a true Wagyu is not going to give you that unless it's a really old cattle. Most of them are going to be more flatter and more wider. They're thinner. I've had Wagyu steak brisket that looked like flank steak once I cooked it. Okay, but you need to, in order to get that girth, you need to blend that with Angus. You need to get it, you know, to where you get some height to it. Because what happens is you eat with your eyes. I cook briskets, 100% Wagyu briskets, you know, Yagashi, whatever it's called. I've cooked those before, and you cook them, and you're looking at it and your eyeballs about falling your head because it looks like when you're slicing it looks like flank steak. Because, I mean, literally, it's like half an inch, 3/4 inch tall.
Like a strip.
Like you know what I mean? And people are not used to seeing brisket like that. They're looking like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Now you just cut your throat because you're going to get hurt on your appearance because they're going to think that you don't know what the hell you're doing and you're turning in flank steak instead of brisket. So that's why.
Let me.
And the other thing is, I'm a fan of Wagyu, but I'm not. Like, I just cooked some Wagyu beef ribs. I cannot eat 100% true Wagyu. It's too rich. It's too fatty.
Like butter.
It's too rich. Like, I cook some beef ribs. Like, when it comes to beef ribs, I want choice or I want prime. That's it. To me, the less fat is better.
Okay.
Well, I want to get you some.
It's so fat and it's so rich that you take one bite, you're done. For me. I want to do it. I cooked some amazing beef ribs not too long ago, and they were Wagyu. And you know what the best thing I did with that? I took one bite of that beef rib, I cut all the meat off of it, chopped it up, and I put it in with scrambled eggs the next morning. That's what I did. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Lola, Wagyu beef ribs, woman. Let me.
I definitely want to get you some Bear Creek.
At
some point to
try.
try.
That's right, man.
Yeah, let me.
Hey, in Japan they got Kobe beef, and they're feeding them beer and they're massaging them. Man, I'm out there wiping the cattle's behinds every day. We got the most prepared beef there is.
Go ahead, Roy.
I've eaten Bear Creek too, and it is fantastic.
It is. It's good stuff.
Well, let's do it, man.
Listen, like Roy said, Roy, you got to make this happen somehow, man.
We got to get these gentlemen together.
You have to make an event somewhere.
Hey, guys that love beef, love cooking, love guns, and love this country. How could you go wrong?
Come on, bro. That make it happen, man.
And I'll make margaritas.
Yeah.
All I want in return is that Trichicon. That's all I want.
That could be arranged.
I'm asking for Trichicon. That's all I want.
That could be arranged.
Give me that thermal, man. Come on.
I don't which Trichicon is. I don't know if we sell that.
Yeah, you need to look
I
that.
know you selling. Don't come me
He wants
down
the
on
best.
me.
He wants the IR Hunter or the IR Reaper.
Yeah,
The
Poe
hunter.
is.
Yeah, the hunter. Give me the hunter. The hunter. Yeah, the hunter's the one. That's what I want.
Poe Izzy said Mo owes me a new phone. I took a look at his site and ate my phone.
That's a good one. Love it.
And the Rain says he never had beef ribs. So let me get this in here. Listen, we should probably try to arrange some kind of thing here and get people in on this because we are teasing the living. Like my brain right now is gonna explode just talking about all these different.
I'll tell you what we do. Let's all get together and let's do like a first responders or something deal. I'll donate some Cason cutlery. I'll donate some rubs, some sauce, some rub, some shirts. Barnauls donate some swag. You deliver some dry aged meats. Hank, you just come bring yourself, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'll eat.
Can we work in an iguana hunt in this too?
Let's go down where Hank lives. Warm where he lives.
You guys are welcome.
Put a hunt in on it, and man, you couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, we can make it happen. So
back the beef deep.
So let me get this on the steak. I know you were talking about rare and then well done. So I know people get on me because I like my steaks well done. That's mostly because I know you can get mad.
Is that a Nike? Is that a Nike brand or Adidas? Because that's some shoe leather, brother.
Did you just say you like your steaks well done?
Well, okay, this is mostly because of what happens in the rest. Like I think restaurants undercook stuff. Okay, so I've come off that. So listen, okay, so educate me, man. That's why you're here. Educate us. How do you know what's the best way? Where's the proper place on the dial for all of that?
Medium rare.
Medium rare? Okay.
For me.
And how do you know?
Depending on what cut you got. Like, for example, if you're doing like a ribeye, I can take a ribeye actually a little bit more. The more marbling you got, I think it can withstand a little bit more internal temperature. So I would go to a medium on a ribeye. But when it comes to fillets, New York strips, it's got to be medium rare. And medium rare for ribeyes too, but you can go from medium rare into right when you start getting into medium. But man, for like anything else, dude, it's got to be medium rare for me.
Yeah.
Now some people like blue and blue rare, where it's like really I don't like that. Yeah. But medium rare.
Yeah. So Lola says, to my defense, I've been doing medium well since all the chastising. That's what Lola put it there. That which is true. I have been.
So what's your reasoning? What creates your desire for well or medium well? Is it safety? You worried about the bacteria?
I don't know.
Just
visually, I want the taste. I like a lot of fat, but I don't really want to see a bunch of blood going through.
Man, that's dude stuff.
Hey, hold on. So, hey, you shoot guns?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and you squeamish about seeing some blood on some steak?
No, I want it to be. Listen. This is why I'm asking you. What's
I'll
the perfect
put that to
balance?
rest. So a technical term, it's not blood, it's myoglobin.
There you go.
Okay. So now you can cook it to medium rare. But I will tell you from a safety standpoint. Okay, safety standpoint on steaks. Mm-hmm. Steaks are different than ground beef. So any potential of introduced bacteria is going to be on the exterior. You're gonna kill it when you throw it on that hot fire. Ground beef is a little different. It could be in the center because it's all rolled, right?
Inside,
but so
the safety. You can take well done. I understand that. Mm-hmm. When I just cooked some hamburgers here over the weekend. Yeah, I totally get that. When it comes to steak, though, man, we're gonna get you hooked up, man, Hank. We're gonna get you hooked up on cigars on a regular. We're gonna get you eating medium rare steaks.
Oh, boy.
You're going to take it up to the next level. You're going to be Lamborghini Hank. Yeah. Lamborghini Hank.
Yeah.
He's going to come out with a bear claw necklace when it's all done.
Yeah. We'll teach you to skin grizz.
Oh, boy. Before we started this, Mo was talking about, I don't know if you guys remember, Barnauls took us out to, it was Utah, right? We were in Utah.
Yep.
We did
Zion
the canyons.
National Park.
Yeah, Zion National Park. Mo was there. We're talking about this.
Bear Creek needs to get on that invitation.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll see what I can do.
You're in the mix. You're in the mix now. So what did you think about that, Mo? Did you saw me almost die out there, right?
Absolutely. To be honest, it was a great experience. Seriously, because there's things that I've never. First of all, I've never been in that area before, and it's absolutely stunning visually. And to be with you guys, it was so cool. We all stayed in the same cabin, and we got to know each other a little bit. And just I see why Barnauls did that. It's a team building thing. I think, what the hell at first,
Yeah, I thought Josh was trying to kill us.
We're walking into the canyon. I'm like, oh, this ain't so bad.
Yeah.
Woo! And then we start rappelling down rocks.
There's that 70-foot vertical rappel we hit right in the middle. Right. 7 stories.
And then their thing, the big deal is on the way out. When the guy says, hey, the only way to get out of here is to hike up. And when you got vertical, man, I'm built for comfort. Like I told you, I ain't built for speed.
Yeah. So it was either that or they had to bring in a helicopter, which was really expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was telling them, listen, just freaking leave me here, man.
I know you did, Hank.
I'll be fine. The coyotes will eat me. I'll be recycled. It's all
good. A circle of life.
Yeah, circle of life.
Yeah.
Lola wanted to drag me out. What was?
She was awesome.
Yeah,
she did good.
Yeah. Those 100% pure African genes kicked in.
Oh, hell yeah. She kicked it, man. She was awesome. For me, man, when I walked up, I got halfway up there, I'm thinking, man, I was rethinking life. I'm thinking, oh, my God. I was like,
I made a bad
I had to go through nothing like this in the Navy, man. I'm thinking, damn.
Yeah, I was thinking that Barnauls, man, this could go so bad. Barnauls could be on the news. Barnauls kills the most YouTubers and celebrities.
Right.
All in one foul swoop. You know what was funny though? Guns and Gear was totally making me mad because he wasn't even breathing heavy.
Oh, that dude's in shape.
Guns and Gear was just laughing. I was like, oh, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
One of my personal highlights of that was Mo was watching you react to Rachel having to drive that golf cart in reverse because the cord was broken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That was awesome.
Yeah, the dust cloud. We got to do that again, man, bro.
We got lost in an acre of bush, basically. This is what happened. Acre of bushes late at night. These crazy guys were driving around. I think there's video somewhere. Driving.
Another video.
Yeah.
Right by our cabin.
Yeah.
There's a chasm These guys were driving around not knowing there was a chasm.
Yes.
Like a 1,000-foot deep canyon. Yeah.
No gun guys had lights. I think we must have had some kind of lights, but it wasn't enough. It was like pitch black out there. It was so crazy. It was a fun trip. That's what I like about the way that the Barnauls guys get down out there. Everyone walked out of there. Some of us, me, took longer, I think, than others, but we walked out of there.
You rose to the occasion, Hank. You got it done.
Yeah,
that's right.
You got it done. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was some serious survival stuff right there, man. I was like, yeah. So let me see here. We've got a couple of minutes. Do we want to hit some other points? We got like 6 minutes or 5 minutes here. I know Mo thought we weren't going to even he's like,
well, I know,
what are we going to talk about for 2 hours?
Time flies when you're talking about barbecue.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah. Let's see what questions do the folks have out there. How about that? Let's see who's got questions. Okay. Ask us this right now. The range says Guns and Gear, straight up badass, but what a cool dude. Yeah, man, Guns and Gear. I don't know, man. He's too cool. He's cool under pressure, man. Yeah. Let's see. Who's got questions? Let's see what comes in here. Or I know you guys probably had some things you wanted to jump into, but we couldn't.
I just think that we all need to get together and do something.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Seriously, man. I'm down with that. Let me know, man. Let's get this thing done. I know I got some stuff got delayed and it's going to be being picked back up.
Yeah.
Once this COVID thing gets over, but we get some in the books. Let's do something, man.
Yeah, I can't wait until we get past this thing, man.
Bring Lola into the picture. I want to say hi to Lola.
Oh, you want to say hi to Lola? Lola, come on. Mo wants to say hi to you. She's writing something on the board. Come on. I can't even read your handwriting, so.
Oh, after all these years, you still can't read my
handwriting. There goes Lola.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. There goes. There we get it to focus. Yeah.
You got.
I'll get a still for you, Lola, so you can.
That song, I got it close in my head. That Lola, yeah.
Yeah, stand on your tiptoes, woman.
I'm all the way on my tiptoes. I can't get any higher without jumping up and down. So
yeah. All right, there you go. All right, cool. All right. Listen, what was it again? Was it Wagyu? Wagyu beef ribs, woman. That's what you get.
No,
just get the whole Wagyu. No,
too fatty.
Too fatty.
Too fatty.
Get Back Prime or Choice.
Next show to buy it when it's cheaper.
Back Prime. What did you just say? Back Prime. What did
Prime.
you? Prime. Okay, there you go. Okay, Lola wants to know with Will and with Mo, what's the next projects that you guys are getting up to?
You want to go first, Mo, or you?
Yeah, for me, I was supposed to be already in Japan cooking for the Armed Forces Entertainment, but that got postponed. So if this COVID thing gets done, it's still a go. I'm leaving June 28th, going back to Diego Garcia, which is an all-military base. I'm cooking barbecue for them for the Navy base there. Mm-hmm. And then from there, we fly into Singapore to Diego Garcia. There's a small refueling station in Singapore, cooking for a small Navy station in Singapore to South Korea to Alaska Air Force Base. So I'm cooking in all these places. And then in October, they're shipping my smoker my big rotisserie over to Japan, to Yokosuka, cooking for 3,000 over there. And then I got the other stuff. I had a lot of stuff planned, but some of it got just canceled. Like I was supposed to be cooking doing videos for the National Pork Board. I don't know if that's going to be redone. I was supposed to be doing 5 country big 5 country festivals, a big country festivals I was supposed to do. So I don't know where that's in limbo. So once COVID's over, I'll see how everything realigns. But I'm used to, I'm going back. I was in Australia right before this COVID stuff broke out, and then actually the festival got canceled. So I came home. So I'm supposed to be going back in August to Australia. Back to Australia to do the barbecue festival over there.
Okay,
but
very cool. Yeah, internationally known. Will, what do you have going on here?
Before I get into that, I do want to tell you thank you, Mo. Okay. Not only for your actual service when you were there, but also for taking your time, your level of expertise, and everybody's time is valuable, and that's a labor of love. To travel all around the world to provide your services to our service members, man, God bless you.
Hey,
Amen. Yeah, absolutely.
Service, so it just makes me feel even better to be able to give back.
Yeah, and that's a choice, though. You know, that's what I really want to say thank you for, because there's a lot of people that, you know, you only have so much time, and that's a choice, and you're awesome for it.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, so really right now it's trying to fix the supply chain issues. You know, one, locally, you know, I'm working every day trying to produce, you know, that highest quality beef, get it to the people. As far as television, you know, we're doing some more shows, probably in the interim, you know, maybe repping a few other products. We're currently coming up with our own little Bear Creek Cattle Company rub, and
Nice.
we should come online with that at least by late summer. It takes some time to develop it right, and brand it. We're also, as soon as we can get the product through all of the steps, we're going to get that back in stock, both online nationwide and also going back on Shop HQ and trying to get that great beef to the people. It's almost a teaser, you know. We sell it to all these people, and we jazz them up. They get the first bite, and then they get ready to reorder, and all this stuff hits. And you know, it's just know, anybody that's watching and listening, you know, we're working as hard as we can every day to try and supply as many people and get the product out there. I can assure you, we're doing our best, and we're going to keep taking a step forward a day at a time.
Awesome. So Roy, I'm gonna definitely give you an opportunity here. I did want to throw up, because I saw this on your Facebook. There's a fund for Officer Mike Mosher. There's a memorial fund, a GoFundMe. There is a link in the description of this video for that. This officer unfortunately lost his life. What was that, yesterday?
May 3rd, 2 days ago.
May 3rd, yeah. So, and he's got a family. You guys probably heard this story. But his
wife, Corrine Mosher, goes by Shieldmaid Corrine, I think. I've never actually met the Moshers. I know Corrine is very much part of the social influencer community. I know she and Mike were both huge Second Amendment proponents, instructors. She's a competitive shooter. So it's somebody who is in our community. He was trying to do the right thing. He was off duty technically, trying to do the right thing, chasing down a perpetrator who committed a hit and run. And the guy stopped his vehicle, got out, and started shooting at him. And Mike Mosher was actually able to drop the guy right there. He shot him and put him down, but not before he suffered wounds from which he unfortunately died shortly thereafter at a hospital. So he was a husband to Corrine, and they also had a daughter. And so there's a guy in the industry named Tommy Thacker who started a GoFundMe, and I've made sure and put that on my Facebook to spread that around to get his dad in front of as many people as possible, so we can do something to help that grieving family who's tragically lost their husband and father.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone out there could help out, there is a link in the description, you know, or you can just help out by sharing it. So, you know, these are tough things when it happens to people that we don't know, especially tougher when it happens to people like within our community. So, you know, that's a rough thing. I know it's kind of tough to transition from that, Roy. What other things do you have going on here real quick?
I'm just waiting for everything to open back up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that I was supposed to get to go do, so many places I would get to go, so many people who I really, really care about and enjoy who I've not gotten to see in person in months. I'm just the
partying is going to kill us when we get out of this.
Something's got to kill me. I hope it's that. Yeah.
I can tell you from Georgia. So Georgia is one of the leading states, you know, kind of on the reopen train. And man, people were out this weekend like nobody's business. I think people are so cabin fever ridden. When it finally opens up, it's going to be like tenfold for a while.
Yeah. Hopefully it will be. All right, so listen, we're over the 9 o'clock hour. I really want to thank everyone. Big Mo Cason, you know, definitely Will Beatty, Roy Hill from Brownells, Will's from Battle Creek, Bear Creek. I don't know.
Bear Creek.
It
depends on the day. Some days it's Battle, some days it's Bear.
Exactly. My brain wants to say Battle, but it's Bear Creek Cattle Company. You know, I want to thank you guys for coming on, man. It's been really fun. I don't even know where the time went.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know, man. You guys are good people, man.
Yeah.
Well, I followed you on Instagram and also Bear Creek. I followed you both on Instagram just
We're
now.
doing the same thing.
Yeah, awesome. So
Oh,
thanks to
man,
everyone
thank
out
you,
there.
guys.
Thanks to everyone out there. We're gonna stay here. You guys stay right here. Thanks to all the folks. Make sure you go to hankstrange.com. Sign up for our email list. Thanks to Franklin Armory for sponsoring the show, bringing all this great awesomeness. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Here's the end that we're running. Okay, now make sure that you guys smash the thumbs ups, leave comments, all that kind of good stuff here. Ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. And we do put this audio up on iTunes and all the places you get audio podcasts. We're out of here, guys. Any final words?
All right, hey.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
All right,
Take care,
we're
guys.
out. Peace. We'll see you all.
Later.